I wanted to make a shorter video sharing some tips and techniques that you can apply to your current mastering process. As usual, there's timestamps and chapter markers to navigate through the video, and I hope these offer up some good sounds. So let's get right into it. After mix compression, often one limiter is all you need to get a good loudness. Modern limiters can easily handle a few dB with no audible distortion. However, there are times when limiting just sounds bad, no matter what settings you change. If you're insisting on maximum loudness, using 2 stages of limiting could be a more gentle and natural approach. In this case, I'd set the first limiter with a fast or medium attack and release to try and catch the peaks, and then the second limiter with some more gentle settings to avoid distortion. If each limiter is processing, let's say 2 dB of gain reduction, it can sound more natural than forcing one limiter to handle 4 or 5 dB all on its own. You can also try this technique with a clipper and a limiter, but many clippers sort of introduce their own sound and distortion, so that might be something you're wanting to avoid. You do have to be very careful using this technique. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're very confident using one limiter. Turn the oversampling rate way up and make sure that you're not dithering twice, so turn dithering off. As always, just compare the results before and after and see which one sounds best to you. This applies to both mixes and masters. It's normal to make a few masters with slightly different processing. When you're done, how do you choose your favorite when really they all just sound a bit different? When comparing, I find it so much more helpful to match the perceived loudness at the start of the song. So I'll line up all the different masters in a new session, and I'll adjust the volume up and down until the volume sounds the same in the first verse, usually based on something like a vocal. This gives me a much better idea of how a listener will hear and perceive my song. They'll just adjust the volume at the start and let it play. With all those volumes matched, you can now much more easily compare the transition from verse to chorus or chorus to bridge and tell which songs sort of open up nicely, which ones have a good rise and fall, and also which ones are overly dynamic and have you reaching for the volume control, which is definitely not what you want to do. This technique really helped me pick my favorite master a lot quicker, and I hope it helps you too. Try using an automatic EQ to enhance your tracks, mixes, and masters. The one I use and trust is Gullfoss by Sound Theory, who are this video's sponsor. Until the 1st of December, you can get 40% off using my link in the description down below. They've never had a sale this big, so there's never been a better time to get your hands on this intelligent, automatic EQ. You load it on any track and adjust the processing, choosing to unmask hidden sounds, enhance detail, and improve the balance of your music. Gullfoss makes thousands of micro adjustments per second based on the input sound and the parameters you've adjusted. You get all 3 Gullfoss plugins, including live and master, so you always have the right tool for live mixing, post-processing, and mastering. One of my favorite features of Gullfoss is the sensitivity and control. You can choose to apply the most subtle amount of processing to a defined region, or just reshape tracks into a whole new balance and level of clarity. I trust Gullfoss Master on every project. I think it's a genuinely unique and powerful plugin that does something that other plugins don't do. If you want to find out more about it and get that 40% discount, just check my link in the description down below. If you can't request any mix revisions, mid-side and left-right EQ can be a lifesaver. It allows you to be much more selective and choose to adjust just the part of the mix that you need to, which preserves the integrity of a mix or master. Let's say the backing vocals are too prominent in a chorus. Well, you could automate a mid-side EQ to turn on during the chorus, dull the sides, maybe between 1 and 4K by about a dB, and that might push those backing vocals back where they belong while maintaining the balance of the rest of the mix. Or if you're hearing an annoying sound or resonance in a recording on the left side of the mix, instead of adjusting both sides together, you can just grab the left side and deal with the problem there, preserving the integrity of the right side of the mix as well. Often the mixes you receive for mastering are already mixed well, just build on top of the good work the mixing engineer's done. The job in mastering is not to radically change the sound of a mix, it's to work with it and just push it and nudge it into a slightly better position. So check your EQs, see which ones have mid-side, left-right functions, And if you want to learn more about EQ in general, check out this video, also linked in the description down below. Macrodynamics is about the dynamic changes from verse to chorus to bridge. Now, we all know automation of volume and effects is so important in production and mixing, but it doesn't have to stop in mastering. So whether you want to subtly automate your effects, or even just push the gain up and down a little bit by 0.1 to 0.5 dB, pushing it up into the start of a chorus, down into a bridge, it can give a subtle impression of either a wider sound stage or more relief, and in general, just more rise and fall throughout your song, which is often what we're trying to do to avoid a master just being completely flat. The changes should be subtle, they shouldn't have a listener reaching for the volume control, and to help with this, I would always automate the gain before your final limiter to make sure that the peak volume is consistent, it's not causing any distortion or issues on playback, and it makes the effect subtle because we're just very slightly pushing the average volume of the mix up and down. You want to make sure this is something that you sort of perceive almost subconsciously and not a change in volume that's going to make the listener grab the volume control. So those are 5 techniques that you can apply to your current mastering process. Let me know how you get on with them. And once again, thank you to Sound Theory for sponsoring the video. If you want to find out more about Gullfoss and get that 40% discount, check my link in the description. I'd also like to welcome any and all of you to join our community Discord server. It's where I host my live events and it's where the community at In The Mix is most active. So I've left a link down below to join that for free as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.